I'm prepared to make a speech and it won't be very popular.
It's always been
Ready when you are, Mayor.
Very disliked, but I'm prepared.
on the front right.
Yeah, I got it. It's different than yours.
Good evening, everyone. My name is David Freese. I'm the mayor of Tonganoxie. I am calling to order this June 1st, 2026 meeting of the Tonganoxie City Council. Ms. Huntington, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Mayor. Mr. Wilkie?
Present.
Ms. McCutcheon?
Here.
Ms. Stevens? Here. Ms. Groupie?
Here.
Mr. Dale?
Here.
Thank you. Would you join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So good to see so many people here. I am, again, like last week, impressed. Give yourself a hand. Thank you. First item on our agenda, well, second item on the agenda is the approval of minutes in which we review the minutes from the previous meeting dated May 18th, 2026. Is there any conversation or questions about the minutes? If not, I would accept a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Dale. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion,
I'll abstain since I was absent.
okay. Gotcha. 4-1 then, 4-0-1. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda in which we review the bill payments from the previous period. Are there any questions or concerns about the bill payments? If not, I will accept a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Stevens. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Groupie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next up on the agenda is old business. We have a couple of items. First, ordinance number 1550, approval of allowing the consumption of alcohol on certain public property for limited time and purpose pursuant to KSA 41719D 11E for the Tonganoxie Days 2026 special public event. Mr. Porter.
All right. Yes, Mayor. We don't have a formal presentation, but would like to share that included in your agenda packet this evening is a draft ordinance prepared and reviewed by the city attorney. This item is consideration of an ordinance that exempts the Tonganoxie Days event scheduled for June 13th of this year from prohibitions that are typically in place for consumption and sales of alcoholic beverages on public properties such as parks, streets, sidewalks, right-of-way. As you see in the packet, the proposed event is scheduled to take place in a variety of areas, but centered in the evening hours in the Gallagher Park area, so south of the pool, north of 4th Street. There's a variety of great amenities that are included in the event most years, but this year there are a few new additions such as a sidewalk chalk competition along 4th Street, and there's a lot of momentum, especially in the summer of the World Cup, that this year we expect maybe to be a little bit bigger than usual for this ongoing event. We'd like to extend our gratitude to the volunteers with the Tonganoxie Business Association that put a lot of work into organizing this event in the past several years and have done an excellent job. The alcohol you're allowing with this ordinance is going to be sold by County Road Brewing, which is a new addition to this event lineup, and then Alberto Yalek with 1866 Bar and Grill on 4th Street. And we don't have any concerns to report about the past history of performance or other issues with the event. So staff do recommend approval. If you have any questions, please let us know.
Council, do you have any questions for staff? If not, I will accept a motion.
I will, got it?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 1550, allowing the consumption of alcohol on certain public property for limited time and purpose pursuant to KSA 41-719A3, D11, and E for the Tongi Days 2026 public event.
Thank you, Ms. McCutcheon. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Dale. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order. Item 2 on the agenda is Resolution 06-2601. Consider approval of Chieftain Park contract with Cunningham Recreation. Mr. Porter?
Thank you, Mayor. This item is an item that the City Council will remember many steps along the way, but I'll just highlight them for reference. Late last year, in October of 2025, the city entered into an interlocal agreement between the city, the school district, and primarily with the Tonganoxie Recreation Commission, which, as you're all familiar, is associated with the school district, but has membership appointed by the city and the school board. In this case, the Tonganoxie Recreation Commission has a tax district boundary equivalent to the school district under that arrangement. Under state statute requirements, recreation commissions are not permitted to own real property or issue long-term debt to finance capital improvements. So the city's interlocal agreement assigned a relationship between the TRC and the city in which the city would cooperate to help rebuild the playground equipment at Chieftain Park. It's aging, it's about 27 years old and in need of replacement. Back in October, an interlocal agreement was approved. In February, that was approved by the Attorney General's office. The TRC convened a design group, and we were appreciative of members of the City Council and the Rec Commission for their participation in that effort. They recommended, after an evaluation of all the bidders, that the city award a contract to Cunningham Recreation. Game Time is a common industry name for their playground equipment materials, and they're a very reputable company and the one with the best proposal in the opinion of the design committee and of the Recreation Commission as a whole. In March of this year, the city received the property and deed transfer from the Rec Commission, and in early April, the city received very strong financing on $1 million financing opportunity with a local financial institution. The repayment terms are 3 to 5 years, with 100% of the cost of the debt service being repaid to the city by the Rec Commission, and so supported by the Rec Commission. We drafted the attached contract in Resolution 626-01, and it's included in your packet for reference. This contract outlines the roles and responsibilities of the city and the contractor, and again, because of the unique arrangement of the Rec Commission, the city is both the property owner, the financing entity, and the contract holder for this project. We did review with the Rec Commission and their executive director whether this was ready for approval in their opinion, and Brad Eccles of the Rec Commission did respond affirmatively. He's not able to be here this evening. He did also share that he'd like to highlight that the next step in the project is a design effort that is going to solicit public feedback primarily through digital means, but also possibly trying to accomplish capturing data from users of the park primarily, or at least isolating those users. So the people currently patronizing it can have a larger say in things like design, color scheme, and items of that nature. We're excited about the project. Again, this contract highlights roles and responsibilities, sets forth acceptance of the quote from the vendor, and we'll also look schedule-wise at demolishing the current equipment at Chieftain Park late in the season, probably the end of 2026. The city will assist in some regard with that effort as well, and then reconstruction occurring through the winter months when users are at the lowest levels for that facility. So staff don't have any concerns with the draft contract. We have financing in place and secured, and we're ready to move forward if you are. Happy to take any questions.
This is going to be a great project for the taxpayers of the city. I can't wait to see what we do. Council, do you have any questions?
No.
I would just point out it's not the taxpayer of the city, it's the taxpayer into the school district, into the rec.
Yep, very good. You're right.
Basically, that was a long way of saying, especially for the young people here, we're gonna get a brand-new playground for the city. I mean, I know you have to say all the detail, Dan, but it's way more exciting than it sounds.
Very good.
And Brad Eccles has done a great job leading that group to get it done.
Yeah, very much so. Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve draft resolution 06-26-01, authorizing the City of Tonganoxie, Kansas to execute the construction and technical services agreement between the City of Tonganoxie and Playcore Wisconsin, Inc., a Wisconsin corporation, DBA Game Time, for the public improvements of Chieftain Park.
Thank you, Mr. Dale. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, old business, is also when we allow the public to come up and speak for a little bit. Just a quick reminder that this isn't a conversation, a Q&A, or a debate. It's just your chance to tell the people of Tonganoxie and City Council your point of view on the record. We have a strict 3-minute time limit so we can hear from everyone. What we'll ask you to do is we'll call your name. I think they're ordered by city residents first and county residents second. So it's your opportunity. Step to the mic, state your name, address, and use your 3 minutes. Mr. Porter, do you have the list?
Okay, the first one we have is Michelle or Landon Frank.
Hello. My name is Michelle Frank. I live here in town at 316 East 3rd Street. I'm also a business owner on 4th Street. I was raised in Tongi. I'm a 2008 graduate, and I chose to raise my kids here. I want to be a voice for my kids because ultimately this is who's going to be affected the most about the data center. As a family, we support the growth of Tonganoxie, but not when there is a list of negative impacts it has the potential to cause on our community. We are here tonight to ask you all to pass this moratorium to slow the building of a data center anywhere near our town. Please give my kids the opportunity to want to raise their children here someday. Thank you for everything you guys do and allowing me to speak today. That's it.
Thank you.
Ms. Sunkington?
Next, we have Andy Pearson.
Andy Pearson, 2150 Hidden Valley Drive, Tonganoxie. Good evening, Mayor, council members, and fellow residents of Tonganoxie. I'm not a plant. I'm not paid by or affiliated with Cloverleaf. I have no financial relationship to any of the parties associated with this project. I'm here as a voice of reason to strongly urge you to support Project Bluestem and to firmly reject any 18-month moratorium that could kill this opportunity. This is not just an ordinary project. It's a multi-billion-dollar hyperscale data center that will deliver massive benefits to the community. 1,000 jobs during construction, 100 to 200 permanent positions when it's up to scale, paying $60 to $90 or more $1,000 a year. Most importantly, millions of dollars each year in new tax revenue. According to public estimates, over the next 30 years, the project could generate $358 million. That's over $10 million a year that goes to the local taxing districts. It can go to our schools, road repairs, fire and police, parks, while keeping property taxes from rising on existing owners. It will use advanced closed-loop cooling system with water use at a minimum. It'll preserve our local water system. The developer is committed to paying every dollar of the power infrastructure upgrades that are necessary. Noise can and will be strictly controlled with large setbacks and acoustic barriers. Growth is coming to southern Leavenworth County whether we want it or not. unless the Just Say No coalition shuts the doors to any new projects. The only question is whether we capture this massive new revenue to manage that growth, or we force the existing taxpayers to continue paying for it. It'll probably seem like I'm the minority standing here tonight in this building favoring the project, because I am. But I firmly believe there's plenty of other residents in the town and in the county that will support this project. We haven't been loud as an opposite to the opposition. Maybe we need to be. We have a golden opportunity in front of us. Let's negotiate hard for strong mitigation, demand robust community benefits agreement, and move forward with confidence, not fear. Tonganoxie deserves prosperity, good jobs, strong future. Reject the moratorium and support the project.
Thank you, sir. I just want to remind everyone that we're all here as neighbors and friends, and we may have different views on certain things, but please be respectful of the speakers. I ask you that at a minimum. Thank you very much. Ms. Huntington?
Rebecca Davis.
Before Rebecca starts, is there somebody who's standing who needs to be seated? Because I see an extra chair there and one extra chair back there. Is anybody there? And there's an empty seat right up here in the front row. Is anybody uncomfortable or need a place to sit? Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Davis. I live at 121 East 2nd Street. I'm here on behalf of our group, which is Citizens Against Bluestem, also known as the Tongi Data Center Watchdog Group. So 2 weeks ago, we brought our petition to you for an 18-month moratorium against the data center. Our petition does not say no forever. It says pause, slow down, gather more information. It is a legislative citywide policy that suspends new data center approvals for the 18-month period. Specifically, we want more information on utilities, noise, water, and especially tax incentives. I want to recognize something about where we are. This is really important. As far as I know, I think we're the only city in the state of Kansas where the citizens have used the petition process to bring this in front of the city. It's my understanding that in other areas, like Harvey County, Sedgwick County, the governments took the initiative and adopted their own moratoriums to hyperscale projects. But in Tonganoxie, the people had the lawful initiative to make sure that due diligence happens here. Under KSA 12-3013, once a petition ordinance is certified sufficient and filed with the city, basically 3 things can happen. 1, it can be approved as is. 2, it can go to a general election or special election. Or 3, we kind of enter a court litigation type situation. If you choose the litigation path, I want to be very clear about what that means in human terms. You are not challenging abstract paperwork. You are effectively taking your own citizens to court. Neighbors who followed the law, went door to door getting signatures from registered voters in the city, and what we would like is for you to do your homework. If this is a good deal now with Project Bluestem, it's still a good deal in 18 months. Nothing changes. And kind of looking at the tax piece of this, SB 98 created a 20-year, 100% tax abatement, potentially giving away billions of dollars. In Ohio, just last week, Governor DeWitt, they kind of reevaluated a similar type thing that they have in Ohio. They were forecast for a tax exemption of $136 million, which is now turned into $1.5 billion. This is real money, and this is moving very, very quickly. And so Ohio's not anti-growth, we're not anti-growth. We want to catch up with a fast-moving industry that we do not fully understand. We don't want to repeat that mistake. The petition in front of you is reasonable, lawful, and I ask you to honor its request, either by adopting the moratorium or by letting the voters of Tonganoxie vote for it in a special election. rather than fighting your citizens in court. Thank you for your time and your service.
Ms. Huntington?
Next is going to be Kim Colvert.
Do I start it now or like?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you can pass it down. We can, that's all right. Yeah, we can share.
Okay. My name is Kim Culbert. I live at 2325 East Sycamore Street here in Tonganoxie. And recently, I've been a full-time occupancy of this, my little house here. I retired here and kind of thought, this is a little bigger than I thought it would be. But today I saw a post on Facebook with a whole bunch of comments that were citing the benefits from past big projects and applying them to the data center, saying, well, it's just going to be that wonderful. And the historical examples that were used are the interstate system, rural electrification, and the railroads of America. Now, those were momentous things. A lot of benefits came from them. But there's a problem. They were important, but nobody's looking at what, okay, nobody seems to remember the bad stuff, the costs to this. And so I took a social approach to this. The land for the railroads was acquired by means both fair and unfair. The men and women who made the building of the railroads possible were exploited. Workers were poor and poorly paid. Often they were paid based on race to do a very dangerous job. Women were women were not paid fairly, and they conscripted people from prison who were never paid at all to build these massive lines across the country. Indigenous peoples were widely dispossessed, forcing them onto reservations and dividing their homelands. The railroads did, however, manage to bring soldiers quickly to a region where they protested so that that could be addressed. Easy access to rail also brought lots of wealthy hunters to the west, and the slaughter nearly caused the extinction of bison. Who profited from all this? Vanderbilt, Carnegie, those names ring a bell? Okay, starting in 1933, the Tennessee Valley Authority displaced about 125,000 people to build dams for hydroelectric power. People who refused to leave were removed without compensation. Others left but were paid pennies on the dollar for their land. Relocation assistance was also unfairly administered. Tenant farmers did not fare well, but the wealthy were allowed to stay on their property, or they received a fair price for their land. Only 11 years after that project started, the TVA started switching to coal-fired energy, and the strip mines and the damages with the coal dust and all the rest, there's still depressed regions of the South where that's still hanging on as a legacy. Funding the interstate system in 1956 displaced over 1 million people, and I knew I was going to do this. I'll let you read the rest. There's some websites that offer some reading on some of these things. Let me just finish by saying, protect us from the follies of the past, and remember who's going to profit from this.
Ms. Huntington?
Next will be Chris Baldridge.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, my fellow citizens. My name is Chris Baldridge. I live within city limits, 22315 West Sycamore. For the last 5 years, I've worked as a controls technician and project manager in industrial manufacturing. Prior to that, I worked in industrial maintenance, and before entering manufacturing, I spent roughly a decade in construction as a member of the IBEW. The reason I mention that background is simple. I've spent my career building, maintaining, automating, and managing large industrial systems. I've seen projects succeed, and I've seen projects create problems that have been avoided if the right requirements had been established from the beginning. That's why I'm here tonight. I support the concept of Project Blue Stem, but only if proper guidelines, regulations, and protections are put in place before any legally binding agreements are finalized. In fact, I support the proposed 18-month moratorium because I believe it gives our community the time necessary to make an informed and educated decision. This project has the potential to impact Tonganoxie for generations, not just those of us living here today, but our children and grandchildren as well. Taking the time to fully understand both the opportunities and the risks is not an obstacle to progress, it's responsible governance. I believe projects like this can bring significant benefits to a community. They can create construction jobs, generate tax revenue, improve infrastructure, and attract future investments. Those are opportunities that deserve serious consideration, but experience has taught me that the details matter. Before this community commits to a project of this scale, residents deserve clear answers about power infrastructure, water usage, environmental impacts, traffic, noise, emergency services, and future expansion. More importantly, any commitments made by the developer should be written into enforceable agreements, not simply left as good faith promises. Once contracts are signed, it becomes much harder for a community to negotiate additional protections. That's why now is the appropriate time to ask questions, establish expectations, and ensure accountability. As someone who will likely spend the rest of my career working around industrial facilities, I'm not opposed to development. I'm opposed to poorly negotiated development. I understand the concerns being expressed by many residents. Large projects naturally create uncertainty, and those concerns should be absolutely heard and addressed. At the same time, I don't believe our decision should be driven solely by fear of what might happen, nor should it be driven solely by the promise of economic development. The right answer is somewhere in the middle. As a community, we should demand transparency, accountability, and strong safeguards. If Project Blue Stem can meet those standards, then it deserves consideration. If it cannot, then we should be willing to say no. Responsible growth is possible, but only when the interests of the community are protected first. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Gretchen Meitler.
Good evening. My name is Gretchen Meitler. I live at 22730 Hatchell Road in Tonganoxie, Kansas. If anybody cares who's with me tonight, be it family, friends, workers, or parents of daycare kiddos, I ask that you come and stand behind me as I do this. In 2011, we purchased the old Nazarene Church just outside of town, and I established Life Preschool LLC and currently have 2 locations in Tonganoxie, with the second one being at 305 South Main Street. Both of these locations would be affected by the noise in the event that this goes through. That would not only include staff of over 20 people who have been my staff for over 12 years, but it would also consume nearly 100 children in our care. In 2011 until today, we have purchased 16979, where the original daycare was, 16951 Chieftain Road, 16927 Chieftain Road, and 22552 Honey Creek Road, along with the 22 acres behind that. And we did that after the special use permit was denied for the Leavenworth County Unmanned Humane Society. We did this in an effort to keep it in ag and to create an area for farming, raising cattle, hoping to keep our kids, grandkids, and other family local. Shortly after Unilock came into town, my husband and I, Brian, discussed with the city about building plots and potentially buying one or more in the industrial park to move our main business of Meitler Consulting, Inc. to Tonganoxie, where the majority of his staff also works inside the Tonganoxie area. During this time, the building requirements and the lack of incentives for us just weren't there. So we kept our business in KCK, where last year in 2025, we paid over $27,000, just under $28,000 in taxes to the Wynot County government. We require very minimal water, currently operated off of a septic system where we are, but we do require 3-phase power. This business blends dry chemicals to treat industrial wastewater. So we know all about closed loop systems and the liquid chemicals that it takes to cool such water treatment. I am here tonight because I'm worried about the kids at the daycare, all of our neighbors, our land, and our well water, which most of us are on out there, the noise and the effects that it will have on everyone in our community, to include my veterans who walk around with hearing aids. That's gonna drive them crazy. My children, grandchildren, and future grandchildren who are behind me. I just want to keep them safe, and I thank you for your time, and I've got more to say, so I'll get with somebody else later.
Ms. McCutcheon? I'm sorry, you're Ms. McCutcheon. Ms. Huntington?
Jane Dent.
Hi, my name's Jane Dent. I live at 23120 DeHoff Drive in Tonganoxie, Kansas. I want to say good evening, Mr. Mayor and the members of the City Council. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you guys about this 18-month moratorium and the data centers. My husband and I purchased land just south of Tonganoxie in 1988. We built our forever home and moved in 1993. We raised 2 children who graduated from Tonganoxie School District. Our daughter now has children who will start attending the Tonganoxie School District this fall. My main concern regarding this hyperscale data center on Tailgate Ranch is the possible health issues this facility may cause, such as cognitive impairment, especially for school-aged children and our aging seniors, asthma, miscarriages, and many cancers. Some of these health issues could take many years to develop. Even Aaron Brockovich agrees these health concerns are a huge consequence that may not be seen for decades. I've been told there are no long-term studies that prove these facilities cause health issues in the future. Therefore, I do not want my family, my neighbors, my community, or even the residents of the entire county of Leavenworth to become the guinea pigs for this hyperscale data center experiment. The low tonal noise that Dee Carlskent spoke about on May 18th at the council meeting is another major concern I have. The sounds we cannot hear, but we can feel will affect every living being around, and it'll be negative effects. This includes humans, pets, livestock, wildlife, and even the bees. When the citizens of Tonganoxie submitted the 18-month moratorium on data centers, you told us this was not an issue for the city because it was not within the city limits. We were told to take our concerns to the county commissioners. Many of us have done this, and they have now put a 90-day moratorium on the project. I have been told you all do not have the power to stop this data center, but you do have the power to let Cloverleaf and others know that you all have chosen, or will choose, I hope, to stand beside us and support your constituents by passing this 18-month moratorium. Passing this petition will show Cloverleaf that you, the City of Tonganoxie, and the surrounding residents are standing united in our overwhelming efforts to stop this data center. Please hear our voices. We do not want this hyperscale data center to be the future of Tonganoxie. If this facility is built, it will forever change the landscape and the air, the water, the soil, the sounds of our little piece of paradise here in Kansas, and it will not be for the betterment of our community. Thank you for letting me take this time to talk to you all. I appreciate it. Money is not a factor. The health of our future, the health of our children is the hugest factor in all of this. I don't care about the money. The money doesn't matter. If we have sick kids that are getting cancers in 20 years, it's not worth it. The money is not worth it at all.
Ms. Huntington?
Brian Morley.
Good evening, Brian Brian Morley, 23947 Chieftain Road. I am here to talk about how much I am against the data center, but I will say that we are gathering signatures for the moratorium. First of all, we talked, my neighbor Denise and I talked to well over 100 people. Everybody had a sign on their door, no trespassing, no anything. They were all immediately wanting to hear what we had to say when they saw our stickers. And they said, oh, it's the data center people. Where do we vote against this? So I was like, wow, well, there's no vote. We're just trying to get your signature. What do you think about it? Terror. That's what it is. Mothers with kids, older people. Absolutely, we just bought our house. We just built our house. All these people with absolute deer in the headlights look in their eye, looking to you guys, and you guys are like, wait a minute, this isn't our deal. It's all of our deals. We need the support of you guys to stop this. I will say, when I think about Tonganoxie, I think about this very special place. It is a little bit Bedford Falls, if you will. It's very much that. And we don't want it to become a Pottersville. And what will make it a Pottersville is to bring in a corporation that's bigger than our town. I don't think anyone gets how large this is. We will be swallowed up by this thing. It does not give jobs. The gentleman who said 200 jobs, that is not true. They said 20 to 50 jobs. No one who works in a data center all day long will live in this town. They're going to get as far away as they can to get home to their family. They're not going to stay in Tonganoxie. You're going to drive so many families out of this town. What have I heard? My daughters have their babies. My grandchildren are here. This is not normal small town life. It's very special. People don't usually want to come back to where they grew up. They go someplace else. It's like, right? I'm looking, it's like there's so many families. Family. It's so special. It's not something that, talking about money and health issues, like, yeah, this is not a money issue. This is a quality of life. And I know that we're not supposed to say quality of life, especially to the county, or God forbid the state who has screwed us, who totally threw this at us without us even having any say. You know, this has been the work almost 3 years without our knowledge. So I'm like going, wow. This is something that we should have been consulted on, and it's a no. It's a no, it's a no, it's a no. We don't want our whole life destroyed by this, our property values, our livestock, our wildlife, the fertility of our animals, our babies. It's very upsetting that it's even thrown at us. We know it's thrown at you too. We want you guys to partner with us and say, we love our town and we want a clean town that's a good place to raise your family, and growth, quality growth. This is not quality growth. This isn't like, this is going to be Leawood. This is going to be industrial Lenexa where you never, ever want to go. It's going to stink and be loud. It's not a place that you're going to want to raise your kids. Thanks for listening. Please join us in making this the town that we want to stay and become better. Thank you.
Ms. Huntington?
Arlen Wickstrom.
Hello, Arlen Wickstrom, 23947 Chieftain Road. My husband just stole some of my best lines, but I'm here to say, in 1976, when I was a kid, the Historical Society down the road where I grew up came out with Pioneers of the Blue Stem Prairie, and it was a genealogical book about the people that came before us, what country they came from, why they moved here, what they did, what kind of hardships they went through. And my family was in that book several times on both sides because of the hard work of my mother and my grandmother. But it also dovetailed with the bicentennial year, so now everybody knows how old I am. But it really gave us a sense of pride of place. And that continues today. And in this room, there's a lot of multi-generational families that have been on this land for a long, long time. And I know we came to you, kind of blindsided you. We have this petition. You feel like you don't have any power. But we came here because we're terrified. I mean, who in this room, raise your hand if you do not believe the Cloverleaf talking points? They're about to be, coming to this town. They're speaking at the senior center. They're speaking at the Grounded Coffee place. We'll all be getting lovely, oversized, glossy postcards in the mail. And just because it's written on a postcard does not mean it's a fact. Those are unsubstantiated talking points. None of this has been going on long enough for them to say, this is not happening, especially the closed loop thing. There's not a closed loop system currently being used in America. This is lazy, lazy, lazy technology. They're just trying to make money. And these aren't the actual data center people. These are the paid bad guys that are here to put it all together, and that's their job. They're putting it together and bringing it to us, and we don't want it. I know I don't want it. I'm thrilled about any kind of moratorium that's happening. But really, I mean, it just does not honor the people that came before us. Project Blue Stem takes and lives off the earth in the same way our ancestors did, but in a really grotesque manner. It takes our water, it takes our air, it's just bad technology, and it's wrong, and we've worked very, very hard for what we have, and we don't want to see that go away. It's not about property values, it's about bees. It's about livestock. It's about tiny lungs 2 miles away in a school. Please don't do this. Just help us. Join us. Buy a t-shirt. Put a sign in your yard.
Ms. Huntington?
Jim Jameson. Okay. And then the last one I have is Tyler Carpenter.
Hello, my name's Tyler Carpenter. I live in Mission, Kansas, but I have a farm out on Fairmont Road, just east of Tonganoxie Drive. I'm building a bee, butterfly, and bird preserve out there. Just my own 2 hands. These are all my welts from all the weeds I pulled by hand because our environment's dying. First, it was all of the chemicals we spray on everything that's just killing all of our bugs. And now it's going to be low tonal noise. They will avoid the area. We're talking about food chain here. If we don't have the bugs, then we don't have the birds. If we don't have the birds, and so on and so on. This is stuff we learned in elementary school. The quail especially are so temperamental. The way that they've been dying out. We don't hear the bobwhite like we used to, just because they hive on the ground. And it's just the most insidious part of all of this. It is called Project Blue Stem. Blue stem grass is what was always here before we as settlers came and ripped it all up for farms. It's what held and locked in the moisture in the soil. It pulls carbon from the air, drills down. It's 12 feet deep of roots that just doesn't rip up. And if we just planted a little bit more of what used to be here. Look at all that little grass patch out there. Do we play baseball on that? No, it's lawn grass. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of everyone's energy. More blue stem grasses to hold in the soil, the moisture. A little bit more nature is what people want here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all for your comments. I appreciate them very much. We have a little bit of business to finish before we move on to the attorney's report. So if you'll bear with us, and we'll finish that up, and then we'll get to the petition. Under new business, Item A, consider approval of Police Department mobile data terminal purchase. Mr. Porter?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll give a brief presentation on this item and then also note that Chief Lawson is here tonight from the Police Department, and I'm sure would be happy to answer any specific questions you might have about the proposed purchase. So the item included is a mobile data terminal, which is a piece of equipment and technology within the city's police department police cars that helps our officers and police department communicate in a very quick way and in a very instant and timely manner with systems and information they need to protect their safety and the safety of the public. We currently have some levels of technology in our police cars, but this is an additional level that, again, will enhance our ability to correspond with dispatch and other county agencies and resources and benefit the performance of our police department in a great deal. The reason it's coming before you tonight is it's slightly over the threshold for procurement approval established for the city manager by the city's procurement policy. You'll see in the agenda materials a detailed quote that outlines roles and responsibilities between the city and the contractor providing this service. We do have a small level of ongoing cost that we'll highlight during 2027 budget development discussions. But again, the purchase price does include some one-time costs that will not be replicated after initial implementation. Chief, is there anything you'd add to that? Okay. Okay. For procurement authority, the motion is to include this procurement from the city's police capital fund, which does maintain adequate budget authority and funds on hand to make the purchase without any issues. So happy to take any questions if you have any.
Any questions, council? If not, I accept a motion.
I'll make a motion to authorize the police department to purchase MDT software for 6 department vehicles, utilizing the vendor Central Square Technologies LLC for an amount not to exceed $7,540.95.
Thank you, Ms. Gruby. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item B on the agenda is consider approval of 2026 fireworks sales permit applications. Mr. Porter.
Thank you, Mayor. This item highlights either the least or most favorite time of the year for many people in our community. The city's regulations allow fireworks sales and discharge from June 30th to July 4th of each year within the city limits. We have a permitting process and required state licensing processes that coincide with the city council's ultimate decision to approve or disapprove of applications to sell fireworks by vendors in the city limits. Just so you know our process, we collect these applications, collect an application fee set by city code, and we also correspond and work very closely with the applicants and the property owners that they locate on to ensure that the fire department and the fire marshal in our city has the appropriate level of discussion and ensures safety is protected both at the setup, sales, and tear down levels of the process. We do have 3 applications included for your consideration tonight. We've ranged between 2 to 5 in the past 8 to 9 years, so 3 is a fairly good number. We do have 1 new application this year, and that one is located at County Road Brewing at 1601 Commerce Drive. We also have 2 other application sites. One is 319 Ridge Street, Brothers Market, and the last is 1205 State Avenue, which is the Midstar Labs facility on the north side of State Avenue. If you have any questions about the applications, please let us know. Our fire department has reviewed the application materials and don't have any concerns to express. Happy to take any questions.
Council, do you have any questions or comment? Seeing none, I would accept a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the 2026 fireworks sales permit for Anthony R. Miller, Garrett's Worldwide Enterprises LLC, and Grumpy's Fireworks LLC.
All right, thank you, Ms. Stevens. Is there a second?
Second.
I heard Mr. Wilkie. We have a motion and a second. Is all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item C on the agenda is review city private spaces policy development. Mr. Porter.
Thank you, Mayor. This item we have a brief update on for the city council, so you'll be aware and expecting a future item for your consideration. Tonight, we request no action, but it's presented for information only. Earlier this year, in the 2026 legislative session, the Kansas legislature enacted House Substitute for Senate Bill 244, which required the designation of multiple occupancy private spaces in public buildings for use by only one sex. This enactment was followed by a governor's veto, which was overridden by the legislative action to enact the law. A couple things to highlight that what this means for the impact on local governments. It does require, or it strongly, it does require essentially by letter of the law that public agencies designate multiple occupancy private spaces by definition and designate that they're for use by one biological sex as defined in the state statute. It also requires that a governing body like the City Council take every reasonable step to ensure that individuals do not enter those spaces designated for use by individuals of the opposite sex. We're working on a draft policy, signage, an inventory, many other steps that will help prepare a policy for your consideration. Some of the reasons that this is important for local governments to enact and formalize are financial potential risks. Failure to comply with the requirements of the state statute do create the potential for civil penalties against the city of $25,000 for a first violation and $125,000 for subsequent violations. It also requires that the city maintains processes to receive and investigate complaints for violations of the law, and there are also ancillary opportunities for aggrieved persons under the law to file civil action against who they perceive to be offenders of that law in a private matter outside the city's involvement or property owner's involvement. Again, this is something that cities and counties and other local government jurisdictions across the state have evaluated. We're working closely with the other colleagues in our field and the League of Kansas Municipalities to help ensure that we're prepared to draft a policy to protect the city from potential litigation or other issues. Happy to take any questions you might have or feedback, but again, you can expect this to come forward at a future meeting.
That's ridiculous. Any questions or conversation? Noted.
No.
Yeah, that's a waste of time.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Porter. I appreciate it. Item D on the agenda is consider RFP, a request for proposal for 2026 street maintenance services. Mr. Porter.
Thank you, Mayor. This item may look familiar to members of the City Council that have been on for multiple years. Each year when the city undergoes a large contracted street maintenance effort, we develop and implement a request for proposals or RFP in accordance with the city's procurement policies and procedures. This outlines the scope of work, the bid deadline, the required bid units, and the scope of work. In particular, this year, being proposed by Kent Heskett, the Public Works Director, is Main Street from 2440 Highway, the intersection near Chieftain Park, and 4th Street, which is the near the intersection, again, of 4th and Main. What this project will include is milling, which is grinding down the surface of the road to remove defects and to establish a level base, a limited level of overlay, which is adding new asphalt on top to create a smooth, like new surface for a period of time, and then restriping and reapplication of thermoplastic materials for crosswalks, street center lines, and other elements. We've also evaluated whether or not this needs to include different right-of-way considerations, but because Main Street in this corridor already is served by the Chieftain Trail, multi-use ped bike trail, and by sidewalks the entire length, that is a consideration that we don't have at this time for this maintenance. So what we anticipate is a really aggressive bid schedule with deadline for bids on June 11th. We then look at the June 15th council meeting for a draft contract for your consideration. The city does always have the ability to reject all bids if pricing is not advantageous to the city. We do look at a project completion deadline of October 15th, and we would evaluate contractors according to primarily price as the biggest consideration for recommending an award. I'm happy to take any questions you might have, but again, tonight what's being requested is authorizing advertisement of the request for proposals, not taking any contract or agreement forward yet.
We just did that road, didn't we, not too long ago?
There was a micro-surfacing treatment applied. I need to go back and look at the year for reference, but the following year, because of defects in the workmanship of the treatment and irregularities, this stretch was actually one of the only areas that was resurfaced the following spring when temperatures warmed up. I can find the reference for next meeting of how many years ago that occurred.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? Okay, we'll move on to the city manager agenda. Mr.
Excuse me? Did you,
Oh, sorry.
there was a motion needed on there, wasn't there? Yeah. I'll make a motion to authorize the advertisement of the proposed 2026 Tonganoxie Street Maintenance Project, RFP, as presented by staff or with any adjustments proposed by the city council, of which there were none.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dale. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, this is city manager agenda. Mr. Brockovich, do you have anything?
Mayor, we just have the financial report that we bumped from the last time. But the Main Street project, just for reference, that you asked about, that was 5 years ago. So those surface projects are just intended to extend the life as long as we can before we have to go back and do these major projects with the mill and overlays. But Mr. Porter is doing a great job tonight, so financial report.
Yeah, can you give us an abbreviated version of it, sir?
We can, yes. It's not even the longest item on the agenda tonight, but we'll definitely be brief. So the financial report was included in the packet last meeting and this meeting. A couple highlights. We're a third of the way through the city's fiscal year. Each year, this early in the year, we primarily look at revenue trends and early expenditure estimates and correlate those back to where we predicted we would be the prior year when we built the current year budget, and also for future forecasting for our upcoming budget development later this summer. A couple things to highlight. We do have time-sensitive expenditure of ARPA funds, or American Rescue Plan Act funding from the federal government. We have to expend the entirety of those previously encumbered funds by the end of this fiscal year in December. We're currently looking at about $276,000 of funds remaining, and we're aggressively reminding our contractors with those encumbered funds that they need to meet that deadline. If the city were not to meet that deadline, we would risk owing back some portion or a large portion of the funding, and that is not a situation we want to be in. A couple other things to highlight. April sales and use tax reports are included in the report for reference. City sales and use taxes are slightly down in this report from the 4-month of the year point to a year ago to the current year. Total share of county sales and compensating use taxes are slightly up, and those net out to just a slight 1.3% decrease, or $11,000 behind last year's pace. We've already, obviously, with the delay of this report being delivered to you, received word of our next remittance of sales and use tax, and that margin has narrowed significantly and put us almost back on pace with the prior year. We are happy with that circumstance and hope that we continue to see good returns on that revenue source. We do highlight in the report several other things, including the recent changes in utility rates. Those rates were implemented in April of 2026, and after a notice period of 4 months on city utility bills, newsletters, our website, and other sources of information. Looking at capital projects, you've probably seen the progress on Front Street and Ridge Street. We're excited to see the contractor moving really quickly on the Ridge Street side of that project, the additional work. They're reporting good outcomes and have alleviated one minor concern with a gas utility conflict, and we're happy to report they've accommodated that and continue to move forward. That's a huge improvement too in that corridor, establishing pedestrian connectivity between the McGee Meadows subdivision, the grocery store area, and Front Street, which is adjacent to the VFW Park, Chieftain Park, and the dog park, other amenities at the bottom of Front Street. So happy to report great progress on that, and that we anticipate it coming to a conclusion later this year. Looking also at the report, we've highlighted in 2026 budget initiatives, the city's collaboration with the Rec Commission. That was the subject of an agenda item earlier tonight. We're thrilled to move ahead with that contract, and we'll continue to make regular reports to you all on the progress and pay applications as those come through. Happy to take any questions. I'll cut it off there.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Are there any questions?
It looks like the stage in Gallagher Park is coming along nicely.
Just took a good picture of it today. It's ready for Tongi Days.
Good.
That's great. Anyone over here? Nope, okay.
Thank you.
We'll move on. Thank you all. Thank you both. We'll move on to the city attorney agenda. Ms. Kirstelich, do you have anything?
Yes, Mayor and Council. I have reviewed the petition and the proposed ordinance for the zoning moratorium. I've also reviewed the statute that purports to, or that authorizes a petition for proposed ordinance, as well as case law and attorney general opinions that have interpreted that statute. And based on this review, I have determined that the proposed ordinance is administrative and therefore subject to the exception in subsection E1 of the statute, which specifically states that the petition process is not applicable to administrative ordinances. And the reasons, for various reasons, I believe that it's temporary, or that it's administrative, including that it's temporary. That's one of the biggest reasons, along with the fact that it involves land use planning and zoning, which is a matter that the legislature has delegated to local governing bodies instead of electors. There's a very large statutory scheme that addresses land use planning and zoning. The city's options following submission of a petition, the statute itself does say that the options are to pass the ordinance as is or to submit it to a vote. But the beginning, the first phrase of the statute is except as, I'm going to read it correctly, except as provided in subsection E. And I've determined that this is subject to one of those exceptions and therefore not subject to the petition process. Now, this does not mean that the council couldn't adopt a zoning moratorium on its own initiative, which is you could direct staff to research that and propose an ordinance. So I'm happy to answer questions or address this, but I would recommend not taking action under the statute.
Thank you, Ms. Kirstelich. Any questions? So we can go ahead and do our own moratorium, correct? Or propose our own moratorium. Excuse me, I stutter when I get nervous. Is that correct? We can draft one of our own?
This is correct.
We have a room full of people who want one. I think what we'll do, excuse me, if the consensus holds, we'll ask staff to come up with our own moratorium. I don't know what that would entail. Could somebody help me out there a little bit? Mr. Brakovich, Mr. Kirstelich?
Council members, what are you feeling in terms of, and I've said this, I know very well, and I'm friends with people who are here and have spoken, that we feel we need answers to the questions that you're proposing. The man who spoke from, who has worked in manufacturing, yes, we need the same answers to the questions that you want, but we are not privy to them because it's outside of our purview.
But will they use the water, if they have to have any kind of a district, those closed loop systems don't stay closed forever.
I mean, I guess.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I
ladies
guess
and
that, I
gentlemen.
guess that I'm saying that we. I'm asking, I guess, what my council members feel.
I feel that a moratorium of any capacity eliminates our seat at the table. It eliminates our ability to negotiate protections. It eliminates our ability to get answers to those questions and to protect our community through those contracts and those agreements. It eliminates, this project doesn't need our approval. This project can go through without us. It doesn't need our sewer. It doesn't need our water. We can't do anything to stop or delay. We're at the county's mercy in that regard. And a moratorium removes us from the table and negotiating.
Hold on. Please.
I would also like to speak to that as well.
Go ahead, Mr. Wilkie.
Just give me a few minutes, if that's all right. I'm newly elected to the council, so I feel like my constituents, also mostly my fellow council members tonight as we're talking about this, I feel like I need to share my view as I've gotten more into this and learned more about what the city is up against with all of this. And so I very much sympathize with the concerns of everyone that's spoken tonight. But I also have concerns about, like Jake mentioned, the effects of the moratorium on the city, our staff, and our council, and our ability to engage with this issue. So I just want to speak to that and explain why I don't support this petition for a city moratorium against the data center for 18 months. And the reason why is that, as you know, it's not located in the city, it's in the county. And what that means is that this moratorium will not stop the project. As you know, the county decides. And so if this project is approved by the county, this data center can still be built regardless of the moratorium. Many people, they've been told that the data center needs the city's water and all of those things, but we know it's not the case. If the city refuses to provide water, it doesn't stop the project because the developer can simply go to a private company or some other entity and get water. And so I want to explain why that's really bad for Tonganoxie. In that scenario, Tonganoxie would bear the impact of this data center coming in the largest, industrial development in Tonganoxie's history. It'd come right outside of town with no benefits coming to our community. And what that would mean is the data center would have far lower taxes because they would owe nothing to the Tonganoxie residents. It would also mean that the data center would have lower fire safety standards because the city has more rigorous standards than the county. The data center Cloverleaf Company, they approached the city for possible water use. I don't think because they had to, but because they're trying to be good neighbors. They know that they have this terrible reputation. And so the outcome that I'm most concerned about, the worst case scenario to me is not that the data center is built. The worst case scenario is that the data center is built with no benefit to the people of our community. No compensation in return for its presence here, which is totally possible if we pass the moratorium. And that would mean no opportunity to support the police department, who would be called upon to protect it. No opportunity to strengthen our fire department when it has many needs, though they would certainly be called upon in the case of an emergency. That would mean no additional resources potentially for our schools, our library, our rec commission, and parks. It'd mean no help addressing aging infrastructure and other community needs. It'd mean no property tax relief, though that was the #1 concern of voters during all of our elections. All this while our neighbors, the data center, rakes it in. And so the argument behind the city moratorium is that we need time to learn about data centers. But what this moratorium really does is it ties the hands of our city and our city council, like our city staff as well, from taking actions that would allow us to learn more about the project. And so the truth is, if you sit down with some of the county leaders who have helped organize this petition, I've done this, and the purpose is not to gain more information. The point is to try to stop the data center, right? And so most concerning is that some of the county level politicians who've been involved in our no data center group, they keep pushing for the moratorium while knowing full well that it ties the hands of the city while we're heading into a boxing match, trying to defend and protect our city. And so the only thing this moratorium stops is the ability for city leaders and staff to advocate for the best outcome for you. It means that we can't demand certain standards be met to protect the community. It means that we can't demand certain compensation be given to people in our area, in our community. And so, because we would not be involved, the county would just do it on its own without our involvement at all. And so we would not be able to advocate. The county politicians who've been telling city residents, they've been saying a lot of things about data centers, about why we should be afraid, but they're not telling you what you need to know, what we need to know, which is that the proposed moratorium does not stop the project. It just removes our seat at the table. And so whether you support or oppose the data center, we should all be able to agree that if we as a city, we can't stop it, our community deserves the best possible benefit, the best possible outcome that we can possibly fight for Tonganoxie. And so for that reason, at this time in the way that it's structured, I cannot support the moratorium. And I just want my fellow council members to know that, because I want to do everything I can to fight for the best situation for our community.
Order, please.
They said we didn't want them there either. So, this is great in a way, because
Yes.
now you're basically saying, oh, you're all sitting up there saying, I can't do anything, you lose power. I understand what you're saying. But, for us to get benefits, you gotta take the land, you gotta annex it. So if you get that tax money, you could say something there. But they said, and they, if you guys don't want it, you won't put it here. So are they lying? Is that what we're saying?
Go ahead.
I remember from the Tyson days, I wasn't on council. I fought hard against it. If you all remember, I was out there, I organized the postcard writing stand. I mean, I agree, especially with the environmental aspects. But, and they pay these people who come to town a lot of money, just like people who sell. No, I don't disagree with any of that. And I agree that they pay these people who come to town and make it all seem very lovely a lot of money. But right now, our hands are tied. And if the county decides to do away with their moratorium, our city can't be nimble and responsive. Very few people are looking forward to the idea of this coming near us. Nobody's like, oh, this sounds great. Let's go have a data center and battery storage. It's all toxic and terrible. But right now, it could very well happen. And the city has adopted international building codes that are at 2018 level, which the numbers for it are nonsensical. Chris, you probably know. But the county has ones that are far behind that. And so what will end up being built if we don't have say over it, if it happens, it's not going to be up to the standards, as Matthew pointed out.
Yes, sir.
I can understand what you're saying about wanting to have a seat at the table. I would too. The problem is who on the council or city staff has the expertise in this area to negotiate with whatever the name code over there. Are you going to hire somebody to do that for you? What are you going to do? And I don't need an answer tonight. I just want you to think about that.
says a lot of stuff, though.
Yeah.
The problem is, we don't have a county commission. And now we feel like we don't have you either. We don't have anybody.
If we take the moratorium, we'll tie our hands. How would it be any different if they hear an answer they don't like, still go around and do it anyway?
Who's they? Who do you mean by they?
Whoever is doing the project,
Okay,
why wouldn't they just go around and do it anyway?
they can.
So why wouldn't we at least try, have a moratorium, to at least do something? Otherwise, we're doing nothing.
I see your point, and it wouldn't do any good is the problem.
That's the risk. That's the problem.
It's
That-
all at risk, yeah.
Hold on.
What are you going to do for everyone that's in here that's asking you to do something? Saying your hands are tied, to all your citizens, our hands are tied. We've put you in those seats for you to do something, and we're asking you to do it. That's what we're saying.
Okay.
Say
Oh.
something. Put your thinking caps on. Come up with something.
No, you're not qualified. No, you're not qualified.
Hold on. Hold on just a second. Hold on, everybody, hold on. Please, please, please. Ms. Meitler, please.
And work every aspect that we can on our own. If Workwell or Tyson, we just need to keep pushing and fighting and supporting one another.
So you don't have a seat at the table if you don't do the moratorium, but you have a seat at the table if you do?
The opposite.
Don't have a seat at the
opposite of
table.
that.
No.
We definitely don't, we
We
definitely don't now. If we tie our hands for 18 months,
Then write your own moratorium for the benefit of the citizens and the benefit of us and our taxes and our lungs and our noise and our dirt.
That's a possibility.
Hire experts and write some regulations.
Why can't you use the 18 months to do research? Don't we have anyone that will help with research and how to?
I think,
Rebecca, what do you have to say?
Well, I think, why don't we just do the same amount of time on the moratorium as the county?
Yeah.
okay, okay.
To leave us off the table.
Yes. Yes.
We could look at doing, mirroring the county's 90-day moratorium, mirroring what they're doing in terms of timeline. I mean, I think that sounds reasonable. I just feel like.
We just don't know.
I think that's it, Sincere. right? We're all just scared of what
I
can
mean,
happen.
they may change what they're doing. They may change what they're doing. They're at their next meeting.
I would like to point out that they are gonna revote, not this Wednesday, but a week from Wednesday, they're gonna revote on the moratorium. So
Yeah,
really good time to show up, guys.
Yeah. I mean, Becky, that's what I'm saying, is that I don't know that we would have a chance at the table, but if we're stuck in a moratorium, we may not have a chance to go in and advocate for all of us. We all live here too. And so we want to be able to be responsive and nimble and advocate if we can. And that's the risk, Jake.
I don't see why a moratorium takes that away from you, that you can't still say, we need these things for our town. I don't know why that takes that away from your ability.
Did anybody, did you all read the petition?
Yes. Jenny, what do you say? Rebecca?
Janet, what did you have to say?
Well, it's been my understanding all along that if this would go through, God help us, that it would be annexed into the city.
That's how you think.
It's a possibility,
It's
but
not the only possibility.
not the only possibility.
And a lot of,
Furthermore, we can't proactively annex the land because it is currently attached to what is called an island annexation, which means the annexation has to be approved by the county. The last annexation we had requested spent over a year in litigation with the county fighting back and pushing against the annexation. This was not the hills, no. This is other land contiguous to the business park along 222nd, that same stretch of road. But, so we are powerless to proactively annex it, even if the owners of that land were to voluntarily request that we annex it. The county still has the say.
And that's why.
They have not remade that request.
They've
But
not,
that's why the worst case scenario is that that thing goes there without any benefit to the town. It's there for the next 30 years, 40 years, and no benefit to the community. That would be, we would have failed you as your city council if that were to happen, for sure. Sorry, go ahead.
Well,
The benefit is property taxes and other investments that they would make.
well, okay.
Hold on. I have no problem turning this into a town hall and listening to each and every one of you. No problem with that. I could sit here all night long. However, I can only hear out of one ear, and I can only hear one at a time. So please, do not speak over each other, but feel free to speak. Does that make sense? All right, thank you.
The health concerns are paramount, but if this is going to happen outside of our city limits, we can't do anything about it. Right.
Correct.
But if somehow things shift, if we have an opportunity to have some input, then maybe those could be addressed.
My understanding is that a moratorium means that we can't talk about, act upon anything. And Anna, hold on. Hang on. Anna, what is the worst thing? Let's say that we do an 18-month, and let's say that the county finishes their 90-day, and they're like, yep, we're doing it. What are we able to do, and what are we not able to do?
If it proceeds outside city limits and the county no longer has a moratorium, but the city has a moratorium, the city's moratorium would have absolutely no impact.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Sir, in the back?
Yes, sir. I just, with all due respect, you need to read the petition. It's not a hard 18 months because it has a, call it a clause to say if you get your regulations or whatever you want to call it, your ducks in a row, and you feel confident in that, then you can proceed. You have that power. You're not powerless. But I would highly suggest you look at it in detail because the examples we use, Harvey and Sedgwick, those governments, as Rebecca said, created those out of concern. So they can do their due diligence. And that is well within your purview of your jurisdiction, your office. So you can do that, and then option two, to do that, again, the timing of that is well within your power. It says 18 months, and ma'am, the moratorium does not say stop. It just says you won't see applications, but that doesn't mean you can't talk.
Okay.
Study, you're actually expected to do that, and the petition
Right.
lines out those items. So in that sense, it's very helpful to do it in an well, I don't agree with that because the case law is very subjective on administrative versus legislative. I will say that. And we will have attorneys opine on that. But it tells you what you can do, and 18 months is a number on the wall. But you can still do what you need to do within that. And if you're good within 6 weeks, 8 weeks, a year, whatever, you can make that happen. You have that power. So I would kindly suggest that you are not powerless whatsoever. And I'm hearing talking on both sides of the mouth that you're powerless now. Well, you're always going to be powerless. So I'm not sure where that's coming from, but you absolutely are not powerless.
let's,
I want you to give your due consideration, read it, but you can make a decision on when you feel the body here feels confident to proceed on how you think is best to proceed for the community. That's well within your power, always, even with this petition. 18 months and moratorium does not mean forever.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead, Jake.
Ma'am?
You can still direct your staffs to do the research that you want during whatever time of stay or moratorium or whatever
I agree with you. Sir?
Yeah, there's a lot of research available, and you all made excellent points tonight. What were you to say, Jake?
Anyone else?
Oh, sorry, just to reiterate Kevin's point, the county did do that agreement with a subsidiary of Cloverleaf. You can do the same. If they want to pay, put it in an escrow account, you hire the independent, technical experts and have them pay for it. That's a way, the county did that, you know, maybe like having a tobacco company telling you that cigarettes don't cause cancer, but you choose them, don't let them choose.
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah.
They can
I
agree to
know.
pay them, and that's what's actually occurred at the county level.
I know the temperature's a little hot in here, but that's where we started this conversation and talking with staff about doing that very thing. Anyone else? Back in the, I saw,
I don't think the temperature's hot. I think that, you know, when we hear your hands are tied and we're here, you know, we don't like to hear that. That's like basically saying, oh, you know, we're wasting our time.
I don't like to say it.
Yeah, we don't like to say it, and we wish that this would have been proposed within our actually established industrial park, where projects are carefully vetted. And we know that they're gonna be small, reasonable amounts of employees, not too big for the size of our community and our schools. They're gonna pay reasonable rates. That's why we have the companies we have there. We didn't get a chance to know about this. And so it's as tough for us as it is for all of you.
You should be upset about that.
Yeah, of course.
But you know now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Janet?
Well, I just wondered if any of you have been speaking with Carter.
No, I have not.
A couple of council members had the opportunity to meet them for a few minutes. They came and had a cup of coffee with a couple of members and they did the same with Mike Steben and another, probably a couple other council or commission members. And so it was kind of a meet and greet where they reiterated some of the points on their website.
Are we allowed to know that information, public information?
Who met with him?
Yeah. I mean,
I was one that met with them.
Very charming.
you know, I know, but it's what, you know.
One at a time, please. Ma'am, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I missed you.
Today I spent quite a bit of time listening to the Ohio Congress and Senate work study session about data centers. And I felt like it was really helpful. It would be helpful for all of you to find it and listen to it, because one of the speakers who they gave the most time to was like the national best, you know, litigator about all of this. And one of the things he mentioned that it's like, it could take the city down, is that PFAS and this other thing are currently unregulated chemicals. It's like you can still pour them into the water, but in 2030, 2029, 2030, 2031, they are gonna go onto the list of you can't have that in your water, you cannot put that into the water stream. And if their contract says, well, we'll comply with all the present regulations, what happens is, in a couple of years, all of a sudden, the city of Tonganoxie is going to have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars for extra water treatment to get those things out of the water that they are creating. And on a side note, I was also there during the entire work session. I listened to everything Cloverleaf had to say. And we asked the question, so what is the average salary of a data center worker? And he proudly said, $187,000. Well, guess what? I've got a phone, I've got an internet. It's $25 an hour per worker in the Midwest, $35 an hour in California. That equals $50,000 a year. That is a low teacher
They
grade.
won't meet those kind of rates here. It'll have, in order to be competitive, it'll have to be higher.
You think
We're just gonna be able to talk, just ask staff to look at.
Thank you. I saw in the back first.
I got the tallest hand up here, so I guess I get to speak this way. I just want to just kind of chime in real quick on this latest comment here about PFAS. And I happen to work in environmental concerns, and I work a lot with treated substances all over the world. PFAS is something that's called a forever chemical. It's very unique in that it has a very tight chlorine-fluorine bond. And it is not something that breaks down. It is not organic. And there, once it's released into the waste stream, which it will be part of the closed loop system, I guarantee it will wind up getting into our waste stream in there. It's called the forever chemical for a reason. It will never go away. You cannot filter it out. You cannot go ahead and have additional recycling things. It is there forever. And it's going to damage our water supply, and we're never going to be able to recover it. And that's just one of the chemicals. I mean, I want to sit down and, talk to you all about all the different things in there, but specifically to PFAS, since you mentioned it, I just want you to know that it's something that will never go away.
And furthermore, PFAS, they've shown, sink to the bottom and penetrate the mud, and it kills the mussels, everything down there, everything that eats from that is what it,
Yeah.
it never goes away.
PFAS are awful, and they're in a lot of the things we have in our homes right now. Carpets, clothing. Yeah, yeah. They're everywhere. It's bad news.
The number one PFAS is Teflon.
Yeah, and it's in our dental floss. I mean, we're getting way off track here, but yeah, yep.
Let's get back on.
That's why, it's like,
Okay.
we got it everywhere.
Sir, did you have a question? Okay. Ms. Meitler?
So, question for the city council, when Hills came in, because that part of the park is annexed, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Were we or were we not prepared for their wastewater discharge, and what have they had to go back and do to make sure that our municipality was prepared and able to treat that discharge? What discharge permits do we have in place?
We were prepared, and they had to filter on site. That was part of their development.
Wastewater room in there with caustic soda and sulfuric acid to neutralize, to get to a pH 7.
They actually use some of the water that they buy from the city in their product. They make a wet product. And so they have to process on site, and then they use more water than they're actually discharging after they process.
I personally couldn't tell you what their treatment process is like, or what it is exactly in those technical terms as you did. But they do treat their water before it hits our wastewater treatment. And it is maintained to our standards, our level that has been negotiated, whatever those are.
6.5 to 7 pH, what are the TODs and all the other stuff? There's a lot of stuff that goes into discharging water.
Absolutely. And we have an excellent staff that controls all of that and manages that and those negotiations and gets to those agreements.